Hello everybody, Aiden here, and welcome to another video here on the Around the Slice YouTube channel. So, as we know, Super Bowl 60 has now officially come and gone. The Senior Bowl was just a week or so ago, and the 2026 NFL season is officially over, and we're in off-season work mode now. So, I thought it would be the perfect time to unveil and release the first official Around the Slice 2026 NFL mock draft picks 1 through 32, of course, for you all. Throughout the offseason process, I will be doing this a couple more times for you all. First, right after the NFL Combine in early March, and then right on NFL Draft Day, which is April 23rd this year specifically and mainly. So we have a most up-to-date version as possible. So let's dive right in. And number one overall for the Las Vegas Raiders. This is very cut and dry. Run the card in. As soon as that clock starts, yeah, they're going to milk it some. But Fernando Mendoza, QB out of Indiana. I know some people say out there the Raiders have a new staff now with Clint Kubiak and company, and they're nowhere near contending, and they have a lot of roster holes, so you can't really – is a quarterback really going to solve all your problems? No, but first and foremost, you have to start with the QB. This reminds me a lot of the Bengals knowing they were going to take Joe Burrow number 1 overall in 2020 in that NFL draft class. Burrow was obviously a way more elite prospect coming out than Fernando Mendoza is considered to be. But in terms of like capital and knowing beforehand who the QB you're going to take, I have Fernando Mendoza going to the Raiders at number 1 overall. At number 2 overall, the New York Jets. They desperately need a receiver to pair with Garrett Wilson. While I love the top 2 receivers in this draft class, Jordan Tyson and Cardinal Tate, namely, this is a tad too early for my liking for those two. The receiver value, that's just a tad too high for me. So I think, in my opinion, the Jets have to take the best defender on the board. If you believe that's Ruben Bain, take him. If you believe that's Alvaro Reese, take Alvaro Reese. If you believe at the end of the day that's Caleb Downs, take Caleb Downs. For me, my specific mock here, I went with Alvaro Reese, linebacker / edge out of Ohio State, because that's the 2 most important positions they desperately need. I think they're obviously going to lose Quincy Williams for agency. Hopefully, Jamie Sherwood can bounce back. And if he does bounce back, he'll need a running mate. And Alvaro Reese, whether it's at linebacker or edge, is an athletic freak in both capacities. So I went with Alvaro Reese, who I think Ruben Bain might be an overall better pure edge fit for them, but they need linebacker and edge desperately, and they can figure out a chess piece like Alvaro Reese. Number 3 overall, the Arizona Cardinals. From what I've seen over the last month or so, damn near, everyone keeps taking defensive linemen for the Cardinals. And yes, a lot of them underperformed, but they've invested a hell of a lot of draft capital and free agency funds, if you will, to that side of the ball. They've drafted B.J. Ojulari. They've drafted Darius Robinson. They've signed Calais Campbell. They've signed Josh Sweat. They've signed these other rotational guys, Justin Jones, Bilal Nichols, a few others. So while they've underperformed, they've done that song and dance for. I look to the offensive side of the ball, and I look to the offensive line specifically. You have Paris Johnson at left tackle, and then they need to upgrade the whole interior offensive line, but this would be a complete reach for any guard or interior offensive line as a whole here, if it specifically, officially. So I look at 2 tackle options for them personally. I look at Spencer Fano out of Utah, and I look at CC Francis Mauigoa out of National Championship runner-up Miami Hurricanes. I obviously went with Mauigoa. Some people say he's a guard because he's kind of got a stubby, short arm build, kind of like Will Campbell-esque last year. And we saw Will Campbell, unfortunately, just got his ass kicked in the Super Bowl. So maybe the short arm concerns are bubbling up to a boiling point in the boiling pot, if you will. But I like Francis Mauigoa. He's the best. Well, not easily. Spencer Fano's close, but he's the best tackle in his draft class. So let's go with him. Number 4 overall, Tennessee Titans. Now, this is where I personally believe you start the conversation of the 2 receivers to pair with Cam Ward. I like Jim DK. I like Elo Maynor decently. I like A. Maynor, decently enough. but ideally they're wide receiver 3/4 options. I think they can get like a Romeo Doubs or a Wan'Dale Robinson or Alec Pierce, maybe trade for George Pickens off the franchise tag to take him off the Dallas Cowboys' hands. Someone like that. So I don't think you need to go Tyson or Tate here, even though predictably I wouldn't mind it. I think this board, though, fell perfectly. I think you have two elite defensive options on the board. You have a generational prospect in Caleb Downs and a neo-generational prospect in Ruben Bain. I'm going to go with the latter. Number 4 overall, Tennessee Titans, Ruben Bain. At least at safety, they still have a name like Amani Hooker. At edge, they have no names. They cut Harold Landry, went to the Patriots, just lost the Super Bowl. They have Femi Oladejo, probably going to lose Arden Key in free agency. Femi Oladejo is extremely raw. He's been playing edge for like a year or two at most because he was a linebacker in college mainly. But I'm going to go with Bain here, an elite talent, short arms be damned. So hit number 5 overall, the New York Giants. So this is interesting. I was considering, like, if you want to go with BPA, it would absolutely run the card in for Caleb Downs. But I feel like that would be kind of an oversaturation, if you will, of safeties because you have Tyler Nubin, who I think will bounce back in year 3, stellar year 1, okay at best year 2. You have Javon Holland. I like the Giants' defensive personnel. Like, their defensive linemen have star power in Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns, and Abdul Carter looks like a dude already. And they have good depth players in Kayvon Thibodeau and stuff. And hopefully Darius Alexander can turn in that run-stuffing nose tackle that they want and sorely need. So I look to the offensive side of the ball, and I don't think like Spencer Fano would be fine here, but I think they're going to re-sign Jermaine Illuminor pretty easily. So Jordan Tyson overall, just from a big picture, general stance, general lens, if you will, for me personally, Jordan Tyson is my personal wide receiver 1 overall. But for what they need, you have a big body, do everything, explosive deep threat in Malik Nabers, assuming he rehabs from the torn ACL, which he's on track for. So you need a pristine, run after the catch, elite, borderline elite route runner. And that's why I have him going Carnell Tate. I think Tyson is a better wide receiver 1 overall, regardless of fit. But for the Giants specifically, I have Carnell Tate at 5th overall for them. 6th overall, speaking of Jordan Tyson, Cleveland Browns, this is where I have Jordan Tyson going. Jerry Jeudy is a cut candidate, although I don't think they want to eat all that dead money. Isaiah Bond is worth like 3 or 4 decent amount of targets per game, but he's really just a deep threat. He's kind of a garbage route runner, if I'm being honest. That's just the harsh truth. Probably going to lose David Njoku in free agency, and I love Harold Fannin at tight end, but a late 3rd-round pick, rookie tight end, let alone, shouldn't be leading you in yards, targets, receptions, and touchdowns. All 4 categories. That's not how that works. They need firepower. They need a downfield explosive deep threat in Jordan Tyson. As long as the medicals check out with him, which it sounds like they're on track to, this would be a slam dunk pick. Number 7 overall with the Commanders. Some people are going to think wide receiver. I just think this is a tad too early to pair Mekhi Lemon with Terry McLaurin, but predictably I could see it. But from my own personal taste, I think it's just a tad too early. And I think you have to take the best defensive prospect available in your mind, and that comes down to David Bailey and Caleb Downs, in my opinion. Maybe Sonny Styles if you want to go dark horse here, but I'm going to go like a generational prospect, elite blue chip talent in Caleb Downs. Same vein as Kyle Hamilton a few years ago. If he falls anywhere outside the top 5 picks, it's a slam dunk value steal by a couple picks here and there. So I'm going to go Caleb Downs. Imagine what Dan Quinn can do with this dude, with us lining up in the box, lining him up at free, strong safety, towards the line of scrimmage. He's very aggressive there at all levels of the field. So Caleb Downs, it is. That defense is old and slow, and they could definitely upgrade their current starters of Will Harris. And then Quan Martin's okay, but they can especially upgrade from Will Harris. At number 8 overall, New Orleans Saints. So I know how Mickey Loomis likes to build as the GM of the Saints. He likes to build through the trenches. It looks like they have the tackle duo of the future over there with 2 years ago, home run pick Tele Saifuaga, and a year ago, even more of a home run pick at the other tackle side. At left tackle, Kelvin Banks, specifically from Texas. Likes to build through the trenches. Let's flip over to the D-line. Brian Breezy's been okay at that. On the interior, you can do worse. You can do a lot worse, but you can definitely do a lot better as well. So I'm gonna go with they need an infusion of youth on this D line, and this is a borderline blue chip prospect in this draft class. I'm gonna go David Bailey, edge from Texas Tech, number 8 overall to the New Orleans Saints. Number 9, Kansas State Chiefs. It pains me to say this, but this is the run the card in type pick. I'm a diehard Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan, and I'm also a diehard Kansas City Chiefs hater as a diehard Bills fan. So, hashtag Chiefs hater, this pains me to say, but run the card in for Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame. Love is like special, man. He's a little better than Ashton Gianti and a little worse than Bijan. I would go as the best running backs of the last 5 years or so, prospects rather. I would go Bijan, then slightly below and Jeremiah Love, and slightly below him, Ashton Gianti. Like, this is a special cat. This is a special dude. And the Chiefs cannot justify running it back with the same old slow-ass duo of Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. Bashard Smith is nothing more than a kick returner, pass-catching back at best, who's frail and pass pro, unfortunately. You need a volume guy. You need a ball carrier. You can't go the veteran free agent route again. You can't go the same old-ass duo and slow-ass duo of Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. So, please say it, Jeremiah Love. Number 10 overall, Bengals. They have to take the best defender on the board in their eyes. At least they have some pieces in the O-line. They have a tackle in Amarius Simmons. They have a guard in Dylan Fairchild. They have a good enough veteran center in Ted Karras. So they could upgrade a spot or two, but you need to upgrade the whole defensive line. Myles Murphy, other than a few flashes here and there, hasn't really worked out. Joseph Osai is a free agent. You could justify a corner here like Jermon McCoy if the medicals check out, Mansour Delane, but DJ Johnson had an all-pro caliber year that no one talked about other than myself. You have Dax Hill. He's played safety, slot corner, outside corner. It sounds like he's finally found his home at outside corner there. Or slot corner, sorry. So I'm going to go with Peter Woods, clogging up the middle. TJ Slayton was a disaster of a veteran free agent signing last year. McKinley Jackson has requested a trade. He doesn't even get a game day jersey. DJ Hill is old and slow now. I'm going to infuse some youth of Peter Woods. Guy we'll talk about later, him and TJ Parker on that Clemson D line this time of year go easily top 10 picks. Peter Woods stays in the top 10, not like borderline top 5 like he was. 11, Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins need a secondary piece. They need to go with a safety or corner. And after Caleb Downs, there's no first-round safeties left, in my opinion. So it's between Jermon McCoy, Colton Hood, Brandon Cisse, Mansour Delane. I went with the best pure corner in this draft. Mansour Delane, shutdown corner from LSU. LSU known as DBU. They haven't had one in a few years or so, but now they do with freaking goddamn Mansour Delane. He's awesome. McCoy, medicals will have to check out, but the Dolphins can't wait around for medicals. They need a surefire shutdown corner. Their top corner now is Storm Duck. Yes, that's a name. Real name. Sounds like a cartoon character, but yes, that's a real name. Mansour Delane to the Dolphins, number 11. At number 12, the Dallas Cowboys. I think they would be freaking elated for this. Running the card for Sonny Styles, linebacker from Ohio State. They've made moderate free agent veteran investments last year, whether it was Kenneth Murray, flop. Jack Sanborn, flop. Murray and Sanborn are more moderate depth players, in my opinion, than actual starters. So here's my linebacker plan for them. Sign Quincy Williams from the Jets and free agent. Give him a fresh start, fresh home, if you will, to play with his brother Quincy Williams again from their Jets days. And then pair him with Sonny Styles at number 12 overall. I think that would be a dynamic duo for sure. At number 13 overall, the Los Angeles Rams. They're playing with house money here. I think they could go corner, although I'm going to wait on corner, as you'll see a bit later. I think people have the idea that maybe they can go Mekhi Lemon for a slot-only presence because they could save a decent amount of money by cutting Devontae Adams. I don't see them going Lemon because I don't see them cutting Adams, if I'm being honest with you all here tonight. So I think a natural succession plan to move on from Rob Havenstein, the one hole on the offensive line is right tackle. You let Rob Havenstein walk at right tackle in free agency, and you place him with Spencer Fano. Spencer Fano should probably be a top 10 pick. We took him out, go away earlier, so push Fano down the board a bit. So that's the route we're going here. At number 14, the Baltimore Ravens. I think Makai Lemon is absolutely in play in this range here. Rashad Bateman is ideally wide receiver 3, few targets a game, deep threat here and there, red zone, decent, pretty good red zone option, but he can't be a volume guy like he has been. He's hurt freaking damn near all the time, unfortunately. So I think you could start the Makai Lemon conversation here. He's a bit too similar, though it is. Zay Flowers for my liking for this team and fit specifically. You could go with an edge rusher here like a Cassius Howell or an oversized guy like Keldrick Falk. We're going to wait on those guys, as you've seen a little bit. I'm going to go with an offensive lineman because I think they have their tackle duo for now, at least with Roger Rosengarten. I really like the steps he took last year. And Ronnie Stanley, when healthy, is very, very good. Pro Bowl-esque type player. Interior is where they struggle. I assume they'll give Tyler Linderbaum at center a real big contract. Daniel Falele has come along. Nice transition from tackle to right guard. Andrew Voorhees has been kind of a disaster at left guard. Not kind of. He has been an objective disaster at left guard. So you need to upgrade from him here significantly. And I think you can do that in the form of Vega Ione, guard from Penn State. Another Penn State offensive lineman like the case with Olu Fashanu a few years ago. But we're going to take Vega Ione to the Baltimore Ravens here at number 14 overall. And number 15 overall, number 15 overall, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this is another run the card and pick. Ideally, they would trade up a handful of spots for Sonny Styles, elite prospect at linebacker, because this needs to be linebacker in my opinion. You've built up the offense enough. You're probably going to re-sign Cade Otton. You're probably going to re-sign Mike Evans. You re-signed Chris Godwin last year. You drafted Emeka Egbuka. You still have Jalen McMillan, who's a moderately decent third-round investment as well. This needs to be a defense for Todd Bowles. I think Todd Bowles should have got fired. It's either edge or linebacker, in my opinion. They can't trade from 15. One, I'm not doing trades in this. And two, it's going to be realistically extremely difficult to trade from 15 into the back end of the top 10, 7 to 10, that range for Sonny Styles. I got the next best thing, linebacker, 15 overall to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. CJ Allen, linebacker, Georgia. They need a linebacker. Levante David, I assume, will retire. Pretty safe to say. Servache Dennis is a third or fourth rotational style linebacker. He's a decent enough downhill sack pressure player, but he's an objective disaster at coverage. So CJ Allen, next best thing after Sonny Styles. At number 16 overall, New York Jets. Enough beating around the bush. We're going to run the card in for Makai Lemon. They already have a big body, true vertical playing, do-it-all type receiver in Garrett Wilson. Now they need a true spot presence. Could they re-sign John Mechie? Sure. Could they go after Wan'Dale Robinson for agency? Sure. But I think a wide receiver trio of Garrett Wilson, Makai Lemon, and A.D. Mitchell as a developmental third or fourth receiver is really awesome for them. So Makai Lemon to the New York Jets. The Jets get a haul here. They went with Arvell Reese, do everything linebacker and edge from Ohio State, number 2 overall. And then Makai Lemon, do it all slot receiver at number 16 overall to pair with Garrett Wilson and A.D. Mitchell. Number 17 overall, Detroit Lions. This pick, in my opinion at least, has to be in the trenches. O-line or D-line. I ultimately went D-line. They need to pair someone up with Aiden Hutchinson. He can't do it all. Well, he can do it all, but he needs someone to take the pressure off of him. No pun intended. Because they've been screwing around the last 4 years with these moderate investments that haven't really worked out. Al-Quadin Muhammad was decent enough at the start of last year. Marcus Davenport didn't really work out. The Pat O'Connor, those types can't fly. That shit can't fly anymore. So we're going to take a surefire edge next to Hutch in Cassius Howell, edge from Texas A&M. He's bursty and lanky. That would really work very well. And number 18 overall, the Minnesota Vikings. In my opinion, this has to be a secondary pick, but there's no safeties left here worth taking at all, in my opinion, not even close. We're going to take a corner in Jamad McCoy. I think the Medicals will check out just fine. McCoy's 2024 tape, blue chip prospect of Tennessee through and through, top 10, borderline damn near top 5 pick. Unfortunately, he did tear his ACL and didn't play a single game in 2025 specifically. That's unfortunate, but they need someone to pair with Isaiah Rodgers. This has been a 3 or 4 year build, that issue, if you will, that the Vikings need outside corner. So we're going to take Jermon McCoy, who's arguably the CB1 if you put medicals aside and look past that. At number 19 overall, Carolina Panthers. This is another one where they would love to have a linebacker. I don't think they can trade up for either of Sonny Styles or CJ Allen in this scenario, realistically, unfortunately. They could take an edge defender. I don't think edge, though, is as big of a need as people make it out to be. They have DJ Wanham. Or is he a free agent? Maybe. They have DJ Wanham. They have Pat Jones. They have Prinsley Umanmielen. And most importantly, they have Nick Scorton. So I look at the interior defensive line. So they need someone to pair with Derek Brown, especially to stop the run. Tershawn Wharton, Tank Wharton didn't really work out. It's kind of decent at best signing. And they have some other rotational guys that haven't worked out the last 2+ years or so. We're going to give them a big, literally and figuratively beefy dude in Caden McDonald who can stop the run at elite level. You have your pass rusher who can get after the quarterback in the interior in Derek Brown. You have an elite run stuffer that projects as an elite run stuffer in Caden McDonald from Ohio State. Number 20, Dallas Cowboys. I think they need to go defense once again. And I think they need to go with the best corner who they believe is on the board still. Whether that's Avion Terrell, whether that's Colton Hood, whether it's Brandon Cisse from South Carolina. I'm going to go with Avion Terrell. I think in this mock draft, I have them making 2 significant defensive investments on the middle of the field and then the outside corner. Avion Terrell, he's a ball hawk. He's a bit slender and skinny framed. He kind of struggles to tackle sometimes and wrap up, if you will. But it reminds me a lot a couple of years ago of Nate Wiggins. They were actually teammates when Terrell was a freshman and Wiggins was a junior at Clemson, I believe, specifically, mainly. Same body type, same type of concerns, but like in coverage, Avion Terrell can go with the best of them, and he's an absolute ball hawk. So, at number 12 overall, we give the Dallas Cowboys an elite prospect in Sonny Styles, and at number 20 overall, we give the Dallas Cowboys an outside corner, Avion Terrell, who may or may not be being slept on. Right now because of the year Clemson had as a school and program as a whole. Number 21 overall, Pittsburgh Steelers. This has to be a wide receiver, in my opinion. I know maybe people have mocked Ty Simpson because Aaron Rodgers probably come back from Mike McCarthy for a year and then retire, walk it in the sunset, if you will. I'm not taking Ty Simpson. I don't think he's anywhere close to a first-round talent. So we're going to take a receiver. Do you want the smaller-ish, shifty run-of-the catch guy in Casey Concepcion, or do you want the big body contested catch point guy in Denzel Boston? The way they construct their team, they want a big body guy to pair with another big body Megatron guy in DK Metcalf. We're going to take Denzel Boston, and for such a big body guy, he's a pretty good route runner, like for size adjusted speed and all that. So I'm going to take Denzel Boston. At number 22 overall, the Chargers, they're probably going to have to, realistically, they're going to have to trade off if they want Vega Ione. This has to be the interior of the lines. Interior D-line or interior O-line. I look at interior O-line. Their tackles are fine. They just have to get healthy with Joe Alt at left tackle and and Rashawn Slater at right tackle. Interior, complete overhaul. Bradley Bozeman, upgraded. You need to upgrade from him at center. Mekhi Becton's going to be cut. You need to upgrade him at guard. And then Zion Johnson, maybe you can re-sign him for cheap, but he's a depth player. He's been kind of disappointing as a late first-round pick. Re-sign him as a depth player. I'm going to go with Emmanuel Pregnon here. It might be a tad bit of a reach, but Ione was gone long ago, number 14 overall to the Ravens, so I'm going to go guard from Oregon, Emmanuel Pregnon. At number 23 overall, the Philadelphia Eagles. On paper, the Eagles might have more needs than you think. They could go an edge rusher, assuming they re-sign Jalen Phillips to pair with Jalen Phillips and go along with J-Lex Hunt as well. They could go a defensive tackle because you know how they love that defensive tackle rotation. They could go an O-lineman because the rumors that Lane Johnson is heavily leaning towards retirement, and then Landon Dickerson at least considering it. But I'm going to go on the offensive side of the ball because they're going to transition away from some of their bigger contracts, some of their older players, if you will, in Dallas Goedert, who's 30-plus years old now. and will command a big market at tight end. A.J. Brown, locker room cancer, fuel, locker room issue. They're going to move off of him. They're going to have to reload with Devontae Smith and company for offensive firepower, if you will. I'm going to go with 23rd overall, Kenyon Sadiq. I do like Eli Stowers after this, but there's a clear teardrop and gap, if you will. And number 24 overall, Cleveland Browns. This is the perfect plan for the Browns. Board fell perfectly. You need to go receiver and O-lineman. We gave them Jordan Tyson for the receiver spot at number 6 overall. I think you get and we go with Caleb Lomu, tackle on the other side, Spencer Fano, Caleb Lomu, tackle from Utah. The reason I did order Tyson, the receiver Tyson, then the O-lineman, then the tackle Fano, rather than the other way around, because I think the elite guys or the elite receivers are better than the elite tackles in this draft class. So Tyson, number 6 overall, Lomu, number 24 overall. Number 25 overall, the Chicago Bears. In my opinion, this needs to be a D lineman. They need some edge juice, and that's exactly who I'm going here, TJ Parker. So your edge duo will be Montez Sweat, and you need to upgrade from Austin Booker. He's a good 3rd/4th bursty type rotational raw edge rusher. But let's pair TJ Parker up with Montez Sweat. At number 26 overall, Buffalo Bills. This is a run the card in for me. Like, I know everyone says they need edge just as much as they need receiver. Guys, my heart, my brain cannot handle another first-round edge investment. I just can't. Swing big in free agency for a Trey Hendrickson. Swing big in the trade market for a Myles Garrett or a Max Crosby. Maybe if Rashawn Gary gets cut loose from the Packers. I don't freaking know, but I don't freaking care. Enough is enough investing draft capital in this D-line, let alone the first round, for it not to work out. So this is a run the card in situation here. I'm going to go with Casey Concepcion, elite runner for the catch monster, yak monster to the core, like Khalil Shakir is at number 26 overall. He's got speed. He's like a little running back with the ball in his hands. Very good route runner. And he can line up in the backfield. He can line up in the slot. He can line up out wide. I don't care. I think you get a true big body X receiver in free agency, like an Alec Pierce or Romeo Doubs, or fingers crossed, heaven forbid, Rashid Shaheed. And then you get a do everything gadget plus type guy in Casey Concepcion. Number 27 overall, San Francisco 49ers. This needs to be O-line. I love Dominic Puny at one of the guard spots, but that's kind of all they have. I think they need to. Actually, I know for a fact they need a successor, to Trent Williams at left tackle. What? Damn near 36, 37, 38 years old at this point. I think he's like 37 going on 38 soon in a few months or so. He's probably going to retire, and they need a successor. Now, I'm going to give them Monroe Freeling, tackle from Georgia. I don't love Freeling as a first-round option, if I'm being honest with you guys, me personally, brain-wise, but the Georgia pipeline is there. The pedigree is there. Whether it's Cedric Van Granger, Jared Wilson, Amarius Mims, Tate Ratledge, Dylan Fairchild. Like, they have 3 or 4 every other year, it seems like. So I'm going to go with Monroe Freeling to pair up with Dominic Puny and be a successor for Trent Williams. Number 28, Houston Texans. This board fell pretty terribly for offensive linemen. Ione went long ago. Pregna went long ago. Lomu went a few picks ago in this range. So unfortunately, this hasn't really worked out for them like at all. So I'm going to go over to the defense. And their defense is special, elite. Edge, special with Willie Anderson, Daniel Hunter. Corners, special with Kamari Lassiter and Derek Stingley. Safety duo, special with Kalen Bullock and who the hell is the other one? And Jalen Petre. Although he plays in the slot sometimes, more or less. But the one area they need is defensive tackle. Tim Settle's probably going to walk in free agency, and it's coming off an injury. So probably give a moderately sized deal to a veteran to re-sign Sheldon Rankins. But we need someone to pair with Sheldon Rankins. We need to get some youth in there. We need to get some high athletic upside in there. So we're going to go with Caleb Banks, who this is extremely good value. He was a top 10 pick just a year ago. Then he missed this time a year ago. Then he missed a majority of the season for Florida with the Gators. But he's 6'6", 335 pounds. damn near, and he uses that length to his full ability. He's elite against the run. The sack numbers might not provide for you, unfortunately, but the pressures are up there. He just needs to finish sacks more often. Let's add to the special defense even more and give them Caleb Banks. At number 29 overall, I have the Los Angeles Rams, so this board fell perfectly. I gave them Spencer Fano as a clear succession plan in free agency to Rob Havenstein, however you say it, Rob Havenstein and Spencer Fano, number 13 overall, the tackle from Utah. And then we're going to go with the best corner on the board here, in my opinion, which is Colton Hood. Now, you could say Aiden Colton Hood really only had his one great breakout year at Tennessee this year, and was kind of average to above average at best, and had some moments, flashes here and there. Colorado's freshman and sophomore years, first 2 years respectively. But I think he had a breakout year to the point where he's a late first-round pick. I'm going to go with Colton Hood. They need corner. They got Emmanuel Forbes off literal trash heap, and he can't be a starting corner again. They have a Keller Witherspoon, but he's old. But he's still good. He still got it. They have Darius Williams, which he's old and doesn't have it. So they need this pretty damn badly. 30th overall here. This is a kind of a sleeper in my opinion. They would love to have CJ Allen, but there's no way he's falling. They would have to trade half a round plus up for him. This is a guy that people have kind of slept on, in my opinion, at least in terms of late round talk. I never see him in mocks, rarely, I should say. But I have Anthony Hill Jr. Anthony Hill, linebacker from Texas, going to the Broncos. Justin Strnad is an elite special teamer and a pretty great depth player to have. Dre Greenlaw, that was kind of an okay free agent signing. Drew Sanders hasn't really worked out. They need to get cheap on this defense because they have the whole defense is paid. Taylor Novafunga's paid. Dre Greenlaw's paid. Pat Surtain paid. Riley Moss is probably going to have to be re-signed in free agency in a year or two. Jaquan McMillan is a true free agent. And they just drafted Jahdae Barron, so there's a clear succession plan there in the slot. You need to complete this defense by getting some youth at the linebacker position, a guy that more people need to talk about for late first-round buzz for sure, in my eyes at least. We're going to go with Anthony Hill, linebacker from Texas. At number 31 overall, the New England Patriots. The offensive line and the O-line coach, the O-line got their ass kicked against the Seattle Seahawks last night. Plain and freaking simple. They got their shit kicked in. They got their ass kicked to the core, which, but anyway, there's no O-lineman here, man, worth taking. I look to the defense of the ball. They need edge rush help. They overperform this year in terms of the pass rush, but on paper, they have no names. They have Harold Landry and what? Anthony Jennings is probably a free agent. You could probably move on from him after all these years. That experiment could probably die now. And who else do they have? They have Harold Landry, and that's about it in terms of like borderline household names, or at least names people recognize. So he's more of a speed, bursty, lengthy type edge rusher. I'm going to go with an oversized edge rusher, Keldrick Falk, edge from Auburn. I could see him dropping a bit unexpectedly just because he's kind of too big to be a true edge rusher, but he's kind of too small to be a true interior D lineman. I think, though, I'm going to pair a speed guy in Harold Landry with a power guy, hands in the dirt, true edge setter in elite against the run in Keldrick Falk. And number 32 overall, the Seattle Seahawks. They're playing with house money. The one hole I could see this offseason is secondary, specifically outside corner or corner as a whole. They're going to give a huge extension to Devon Witherspoon, as they should. That corner, Josh Job's a free agent, and Reek Woolen is a free agent. Josh Jobe, they'll probably re-sign pretty easily, but Reek Woolen, I unfortunately predictably had them losing him to free agency because some corner needy loads of cat space team like the Raiders or Titans or some shit like, or some team like that, excuse me. Sorry about that. Will throw money at him literally and figuratively. So let's go with Brandon Cisse, corner from South Carolina, the Seahawks here at number 32. I was considering Jennings Dunker to upgrade from Anthony Bradford, and you would have a kick-ass duo of the future and the interior line with Gray Zabel and Jennings Dunker from Iowa. But I like Brandon Cisse just as a general talent even more. And the corner class falls off a cliff after the top 5. So this is the last one I'm comfortable with taking really early here. Brandon Cisse, the Seattle Seahawks, number 32 overall. Anyways, thanks for going on that journey with me. Picks 1 through 32. Let me know down in the comments below what were your favorite picks of mine. What were your least favorite picks of mine? I always like to have fun, casual banter back and forth with you guys. Coming up on this channel, going forward in the very near future, next week, we're going to, or later this week, actually, going into the next week, we're going to be starting our official free agency content. Positional previews, contract value assumptions, contract value calculations, specific landing spots, which is probably my favorite. Make sure you like and subscribe for all of that. You can follow me on Twitter at A113 with free agency. I get instant reactions, whether it's from a real NFL lens or a fantasy football style lens. Follow me over there. And yeah, thank you for the support as always. I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.